Okay, grade 12s. This is just some intensive revision for the Matric exam, math paper 1, that we have next month on the 3rd and the 6th, okay? Still have a little time, a few weeks. So let's just go through November 2015 paper, November 2015. Let's look at 1, the first part of number 1. We have a quadratic equation, x squared minus 9x plus 20. Simple. It's always nice when you get the first question right. So remember, we have to get factors, and one of the simplest ways I've spoken about in my videos is the two factors should be the sum of that and the product of, okay? The sum is your b, okay, coefficient b, and the product is your a times c, right? So any two coefficients with this sum and this product. So with a sum of minus 9, two numbers that when you add them, you get minus 9, but when you multiply them, you get a times c, which is coefficient 1 times 20. So sum of minus 9, product of positive plus 20, okay? When you think about it, two numbers, what comes to mind? It has to be 4 and minus 4 and minus 5, because when you say minus 4 times minus 5, you get, when you add minus 4 and minus 5, you get minus 9. When you multiply them, you get 20. Okay? Try the other numbers. It won't work. It won't work. This is the only combination that will work. Trust me, there'll always be a combination that works, and it won't be so far off. Okay? So minus 4 and minus 5. So that means our coefficients are it will be x minus 4 times x minus 5 equals our 0. So our factors will be x equals 4 and x equals 5. Okay? Remember, when we factored out, we were getting the two numbers that when you add them up, you get minus 9. When you multiply them, you get 1 times 20, which is 20. Okay? So this is the first solution. You'll get an answer for your factors. You'll get a mark for your factors. You'll get a mark for your x and x. Yeah. So this question is 3 marks. Okay. Now let's look at the second part. We have another quadratic. 3x squared plus 5x minus 4 equals 0. Okay? So remember, when you cannot factorize, what do? You use the quadratic equation. So let's see, can we factorize? Do we have numbers, when you add them, you get plus 5, and when you multiply them, you get 3 times minus 4? Okay, let's see. When you add them, you should get 5. When you multiply them, you should get 3 times minus 4, which is minus 12. Which two numbers? You add them, you get 5. You multiply, you get minus 12. They don't exist. There's no such number. The only numbers you multiply to get 12 is 1 and 12, 6 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay? So all those, you cannot sum them up to get 5, okay? So we will now use the quadratic equation. Remember the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula, is that x is equal to minus b plus minus, okay, root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, that's our quadratic formula. So with this formula here, we know that b is that coefficient b is 5, a is 3, a is 3, okay? And our c is 4, right? So we substitute all this. This is a, b, and c. We substitute them into the formula. So we will have minus 5 plus minus the root of 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 4. C is minus 4. Always carry the sign, okay? Always carry the sign. Don't forget it or you'll get the answer wrong. So here we have our minus 5 plus minus, oh, we forgot that over 2a. Plus minus. So when you work this whole thing out, use your calculator. 25 minus 4 times minus 12. Just work it out with your calculator. We will have 73 up here, then over our 2a. 2 times 3 is 6, right? So we will have two answers as x equals minus 2,26 or x equals 0,59. Okay? Yeah. This will be the answer. Thank you. All right, so now we'll have our part 3 of number 1. We have 2x to the power minus 5 over 3 equals 64. Simplifying, we see we can divide through by 2 because this is an even number. So divide by 2 on both sides. Then we'll have x to the power minus 5 over 3 is equal to 64 divided by 2 is 32. Okay, now since we're dealing with exponents, we have to see, can we break this down into exponents? We know 2 to the power 5 gives us 32. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 2, 16. 16 times 2, 32. So it's 2 to the power 5. This is equivalent to 2 to the power 5. So we have our x to the power minus 5 over 3 is equal to 2 to the power 5. Okay? And now we want to find the root. If we are to get our x independent, just we will flip the root, multiply it by the flip root, okay? So that we get x to the power 1. How do we get x to the power 1? We'll say x to the power, this root becomes 1. So it will be minus 5 over 3. When you multiply it by minus 3 over 5, you see the roots. Once you multiply this to this will become 1. You see that? Because the 3's will cancel out, the minuses become a positive, and the 5's will cancel out. Okay? Equals to 2 to the power 5. What you do on the left, you do on the right too. So times, to the root of 3, to the power minus 3 over 5. Okay? So this will give us x, of course, to the power 1 is equal to 2 to the power 5 times this, the 5's cancel out. It will be 2 to the power minus 3. Okay? And 2 to the power minus 3, any power to the minus power, it will be x is equal to 1 over 2 to the power 3. Okay? And 1 and 2 to the power 3 is 1 over 8. So this is equivalent to that, 1 over 8. Yeah. or even if you want to make it in fraction form, it's 0.125. Okay. Okay, the fourth part of question 1, we have an equation here. Root of 2 minus x is equal to x minus 2. So what do? We have a root here, we square it to get rid of it on this side. We square both sides. So it will be 2 minus x, because when you square this, the power is 1, is equal to x minus 2 squared. We've squared both sides. Okay? Then we simplify what's in the bracket so that we can make one whole quadratic. Okay? 2 minus x is equal to, bring x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay? And then bringing the like terms together, we have x squared, when you take the x that side, minus 3x, we take the 2 that side, plus 2 equals 0. So this is our quadratic equation. Now solving, getting the factors. Remember, the sum, we need 2 factors. When you add them up, we get minus 3. When you multiply them, we get 2. So which 2 numbers, when we add them, we get minus 3. And when we multiply them, we get 2. Okay? Multiply them, we get the coefficient A times C, which is 2. Which 2 factors? Start thinking. When we add minus 1 and minus 2, we get minus 3. When we subtract minus 1 times minus 2 gives us 2. And also minus 1 plus minus 2 gives us minus 3. So our 2 factors are minus 1. Okay, so we've found our 2 factors as minus 1 and minus 2. So our quadratic equation is broken down into x minus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, when you add minus 1 and minus 2, you get minus 3. When you multiply them, you get 2. Okay, so this shows us that our 2 answers is x equals 1 or x equals 2. Okay, but remember that we have our root up there, root 2 minus x. Okay, but since we have a root up here, right, let's substitute in and see. If we put 1 in here, does it equal there? If we put 2 in here, do these 2 equal? Okay, so let's say if x is 1, root 2 minus x is equal to 2 minus 1 gives us 1. Okay, root of 1 is 1. And then if x is 2, then for x minus 2, if x is 1, we know it will be x minus 2 will give us 1 minus 2, which is minus 1. So they are not equal. Okay, these 2 are not equal. Therefore, it does not apply for x is 1. With x is 2, if we say 2 minus 2 gives us 0, 2 minus 2 gives us 0. So x minus 2 only. This is the only solution, right? We substituted 1 and the 2 didn't equal. Okay, so the answer is x is 2 only. Okay, on the 5th part of number 1, we have an inequality. For inequalities, remember, we don't just have a factor, an answer, we have an interval, okay, for this inequality. In this inequality, we don't get a single answer, we have an interval. So here, x squared plus 7x less than 0. We factor out the x. When you bring out x, you x plus 7 less than 0. Okay? So we have x less than 0 and then x plus 7 less than 0. Okay? X less than 0 and x plus 7 less than 0. Okay? Which in essence is x is less than minus 7. So we draw. We have 2, 0 and minus 7. But we want to know what is the interval. Okay? So we draw. We have our number line here. We have our 0 here. We have our minus 7 here. Okay? So we investigate. Less than minus 7 is this side, right? So when we put into the inequality a number less than minus 7, let's say minus 10, right? Minus 10, we put minus 10 here, it will be minus 10 times, then here minus 10 plus 7 is minus 3. So minus 3 times minus 10 gives us a positive number. It's plus. So it means up here, it's a plus. The graph is up, is above the number line. It's a positive, okay? And then it's a plus this side. And then when we investigate a number above minus 7 but below 0, let's say minus 1, because minus 1 is somewhere here, minus 1. So when we put in minus 1 plus 7 gives us 6, positive 6, and then positive 6 times a minus 1 gives us a minus 6. So it is down here. It's a minus. So it comes down here somehow. It comes down here somehow. Okay? Between 0 and 7. It's down. And then above 0. Say number 1. Let's try 1. 1 plus 7 gives 8. 8 times 1 gives 8, which is a positive and it's above the line. So it's plus. So it goes up. Okay? It's plus. So that means our interval, right, for less than 0 is only below the number line. Okay? It's only between minus 7 and 0. It is not below minus 7. It's not above 0. Therefore, our interval is minus 7. Our x lies in between minus 7 and 0. Okay? Or we can also say, in set notation, x, the set is minus 7 to 0. Okay? Yeah. So that's our answer. Okay, for number 1, 2 of the exam, we have to note that if the square of any number, the square of any number is always positive or 0, okay? And you have to put that down. The square of any number is positive or 0. Please write positive in full, okay, and 0 in full. So therefore, sum of 2 squares is also 0. The sum of the 2 squares, for the sum of these 2 squares to be 0, okay, then definitely both of them must be 0, okay? Both squares must be 0, okay? Write everything in full. So this is the sum of two squares equaling to 0. For this to be possible, right, then both squares must be 0, okay? Therefore, 3x minus y squared equals 0, and x minus 5 squared equals 0, okay? And for this to be possible, therefore, 3x minus y equals 0, okay? And x minus 5 equals 0, okay? Definitely. You find the root of 0 is 0, so 3x minus y is 0, okay? And then for x minus, for here you get x equals 5, okay? And then if x equals 5, we substitute for 5 here. What do we get? X equals 5, we substitute here, we'll get 3 times 5 equals y. Therefore, y is 15. Okay? Those are two answers. When you substitute for y and x into this equation, you will see that you get 0. Okay? 5 times 5, 5 minus 5 is 0. And then here, y is 15. You get 0. So that's our answer. Thank you.